Hello, Packers fans, wherever you may be. We have late breaking news here on a Saturday afternoon that is assuming that Ian Rappaport's Instagram, or sorry, his X was not hacked. So let's get right to it. Instant breaking news: the Green Bay Packers have traded defensive tackle Colby Wooden to the Colts for linebacker Zaire Franklin, per Ian Rappaport and Tom Polisario. So this is kind of a surprise for me. I didn't have Colby Wooden on my bingo card for transactions over the weekend. I did suspect that we would have three or more transactions for the Packers before we get to the free agent non-tampering period on Monday. But I thought Colby Wooden was a player that would be definitely on the roster this next year. But apparently the Packers have some new plans. So let's take a look at how this will impact the Packers, both with the loss of Colby Wooden and the addition of Zaire Franklin. Now, first of all, I want to shout out to Colby Wooden. He's been a channel favorite for quite some time. I thought he was a very serviceable last year, at least early on in the season before the Packers started having significant problems with their run defense. I thought Colby Wooden played well when called in at the last minute to be the nose tackle for the defense, a role which he really isn't suited for based on his size and weight. So let's take a look at both of these players and how they might impact the Packers going forward. So we got Colby Wooden here, 6'4", 237, 273, definitely undersized to be a defensive tackle and nose guard for the Packers defense. So it's really not fair to judge Colby Wooden's production when he was thrown into being a nose tackle when he was significantly undersized. A nose tackle, you want to be at least 315 as far as their weight. So Colby had the length to be in the position, but not the weight to be in the position. His overall grade for 2025 was 49.8. Pass rush grade 58.3, and his run defense grade was 46.2. And that really highlights the fact that he was just undersized to be a nose tackle. So take that for what it is. I'm assuming the Colts are not going to use him as a nose tackle. They'll probably use him as a defensive lineman, possibly a three technique as opposed to being the nose tackle. So interesting trade here. Let's take a look at Zaire Franklin, your new Green Bay Packer. He did struggle a lot last year for the Colts. Overall grade 38.4, run defense grade 54.9, pass rush grade 57.5. What really jumps out to me for Zaire is his coverage grade of 29.9. Now, if the Packers are switching to a 3-4 front, which I think they will be doing, this is a little confusing to me as far as getting a linebacker that has such poor coverage skills in a trade. Really trying to figure out, let's look at his bio if we can. Okay, so he was with Syracuse from 2014 to 2017, and then he was drafted by the Indianapolis Colts. So he's a little older for his he's a little older for a linebacker. He definitely is probably about the same age as McDuffie. So he's definitely going to be an elder statesman when it comes to the linebacker group. Um, Now, what this leads me to believe is the Green Bay Packers were planning on getting bigger at the nose tackle. Not a surprise given Colby Wooden's uh, weight of only 273. So that does make sense that Colby wouldn't necessarily be a fit at nose tackle for the Packers, but I felt he was a quality depth piece for the Packers. So it's really a little disappointing to see Colby Wooden leave, especially since I'm kind of scratching my head at what Zaire Frankin is going to bring to the Green Bay Packers. He's not great at run. He's okay at run defense. His pass rush grade is a little better than his run defense grade, but his coverage grade at 29.9 really surprises me. I almost feel like the Colts came to them saying they wanted Colby Wooden, and this is what the compensation was. Now, ironically, this actually puts the Packers over the salary cap, which they have to get back to by Wednesday, slightly. So I fully expect some additional moves either today or tomorrow to get the Packers back down below the salary cap. So we're going to watch that very closely. I don't think this move was in a vacuum. I think this is part of a larger move where they wanted to clear a body off the roster at nose tackle, probably for the start of free agency. I think this makes it more likely than not that the Packers are going to be aggressive at looking at a nose tackle early in free agency. A DJ Reader or some of the other nose tackles that we've talked about in past episodes would be an ideal fit. I am a DJ Reader fan because I think you could get him for $3 or $4 million, maybe 4 or 5. And he would be a great 1-year option, and then you look to the draft to build up your nose tackles of the future. So we're going to have to watch this very closely, but this move is not made in a vacuum. I'm very certain we're going to see some additional transactions over the next day because they have to get, number one, under the salary cap, and number two, with the departure of Wooden, they need to get some cash available if they're going to look at signing a nose tackle from free agency. So this is something that they wouldn't have done, in my opinion, unless they're preparing to dive into the free agency market at nose tackle early in free agency. There's no reason to rush to make this move. Zaire Frankin is not going to be a big playmaker, or this is a player that they had to jump on to get. In my mind, he's more of a depth linebacker piece and maybe a special teams player versus being a starter. So I think that they're clearing some room on the roster for free agency, specifically at nose tackle. So we're going to watch that very closely. So I predicted there would be 3 moves over the weekend. Here's our first move over the weekend. I expect that there will be 1 or 2 more before Monday, because now I think the Packers are aggressively going to make a move at nose tackle at the start of free agency. So we're going to watch that very closely. We're probably going to have some additional news throughout the next 2 days, and I will be jumping on and doing a video as soon as that drops. Until then, go Pack Go, and say goodbye to Colby Wooden. Colby, thank you for your service to the Green Bay Packers. Hopefully you'll have some great success with the Colts. But this move was not made in a vacuum. There is additional moves coming either in the next day or so that are tied to this transaction or at the start of free agency. But to make a move in free agency, they've got to clear some capital. So Elton Jenkins and Rashawn Gary, they are 100% on watch. I'm going to be watching Rashawn Gary's Instagram, see if that picture miraculously gets reposted, see if there's any other hacking activity that goes on. Maybe Rashawn Gary forwards the contact information to Elton Jenkins to the hacker, so we can have some additional hackgate going on. But we'll be watching that very closely, and as news breaks over the weekend, we will be back with that. Talk to you soon. As always, go Pack Go.